Christian violence against. Yeah.
I feel like it's because the word of the Lord is peace, and Jesus himself, the prophet, he lived in a peaceful way. But America, like the government and the soldiers, they were using his word to strike fear into those people. So it wasn't Jesus being violent, it was the institute of Jesus being violent and like forcing people into that religion. Like that's not what God intended it to be, but that's how the American government early on, like they utilized that and they struck fear into people.
Yes.
Said in the name of God so that they could justify their reasons.
Yeah. Really well put. Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well put. Does anybody disagree with that? Does anybody have another opinion? I mean, the history of Christianity is the history of crusades and death and violence against other cultures. So it's not as if there's not too many instances in our history where there wasn't violence in the name of Christ. Does that still, pardon? You. Oh, restate which. Oh. Yeah. Well, yeah. I want to get this right. So you said the prophet Jesus, the one that you listen to, is the one who brings peace, forgiveness, and compassion.
Yeah.
And that's the one that you think is true. And Christianity came along and distorted it.
No, I mean like the word of the Lord has always been the word of the Lord.
Yeah.
He's always prophesied peace, forgiveness, reconciliation for your sins and all that. And that's always been it. But as time has gone on and, you know, the colonizers came, they wanted to force that religion on people, and like most Americans, they fought back, they didn't want to have that religion, so they took a different turn and turned violent, but they used the name of the Lord to justify their reasons, and then just kept it that way. They never went back to bringing peace. They just kept it that way, like they kept the violence. And now so many like Native American tribes have a view on Christ. Like I'm Catholic, I've been Catholic my whole life, and so many people ask me, like, why do you believe in God if you're these few tribes? But I've been raised to be taught that it wasn't Christ that did that to me, it wasn't the Lord, it wasn't his command, it was the American government that used that, and they kind of covered up what they did with the name of the Lord. Like,
Yeah, did everybody hear that? Raise your hand if you've heard that explanation. Yeah, okay, everybody got it. Does anybody disagree or want to kind of reinterpret that for us? Yeah. Well, no, I want to hear one of the students. Sorry, I'm gonna try to focus on students. Sorry, students. Do you all agree? Or parents?
some parts.
Some parts. Can you divide it up? Which parts do you disagree with?
Well, I think that you know, as I had mentioned, that I had to be forced to go to Catholic school. Those beliefs, some of those things, it's hard for me to get into some of those things because of what had happened to me, and my people. But I feel like I think religion it's an everybody interprets it for their own how they want they give their own interpretation of everything. And there are books and books of everything written. And so, you know, there are some books may say more than others, but by your reading and learning for yourself and getting your own interpretation, that's what you bring into your home.
Okay. Good.
That helps.
Good. You know, that does help. That's interesting. Anybody else want to chime in? Yeah.
The story of Christianity must include the kind of genealogy of the ways in which Christianity has been codified institutionally as a tool of empirical ascendancy
So there's almost a way in which you could say that Christianity kind of codifies in people's consciousness the imperial mantle of the United States. Some say that basically another way of saying you are the United States, or you are Christian. And you should be white, or you should worship at the white man's table. Right? Is that what you're...
I mean, Christianity is the religion of the state. So in a sense, yeah.
And what is the chief role of the state?
Are you asking me here?
Yeah, you, but anyone. Yeah, maybe somebody else. What is one of the chief social roles of the state? Legitimate force. Legitimate force. Legitimation of force. The state has the role of legitimating force, right? Because that is what the state does. It has the role of force in people's lives, or violence. Let me give you a couple of definitions of religion and just let you think about it for yourself. On the one hand, you could say religion, write this down, this is good. Religion is the desire for the ultimate. Religion is the desire for the ultimate. Once upon a time in the 1960s when people were into peace, love, and everything else, that's very much what early religious scholars thought. If religion is actually a way of peace, and it is the way of love in the world. Now, what we came to find out is that that's not quite exactly right, is it? That there's something else going on with religion. And let me give you a kind of a new and different definition. And that is, this might be worth writing down too. I came to this definition in an essay on religion and violence, and I said this: the symbolic and social boundaries of religion, no matter how fluid or porous, mobilize individuals and group identity in conflict and sometimes violence within and between groups. You want me to say that again? Okay, here we go. The symbolic and social boundaries of religion, no matter how fluid or porous, mobilize individual and group identity in conflict and sometimes violence within and between groups. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
How is that different definition from any other form of a boundary? Boundary at the same time unifies and excludes.
Yes.
And inevitably either leads to conflict or to peace.
It's simply the fact in the last 20 years, scholars of religion have realized that religion is not a peaceful act necessarily. So it's not so much new as a new variation on the fact that religion isn't peace loving.
But haven't scholars realized that a long time ago?
No.
Well, one can go to Hegel or Max Weber or a number of other people that were conservatives who actually talked about that, let alone Marx and a number of others who called religion opium for people.
Yeah. I suppose I'm talking about the modern period in terms of the 20th century, in the last 50 years, in which the study of religion became actually a discipline. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's been thought about before. It was covered up, I think, in the 1960s and 70s as something that brought peace and not conflict. So that's, I'm offering to you, I mean, we could go through this whole history, but that would take forever. So what I want to do is does that kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Can you repeat the last part?
Yeah. You know, Cal, I'll just say it again, the symbolic and social boundaries of religion, no matter how fluid or porous, mobilize individual and group identity in conflict and sometimes violence within and between groups.
Do you think that's a more Western perspective of it, where they just now came to that conclusion, as opposed to natives that probably have already come to that conclusion?
Yeah, no, that's well put. Yeah. Don't say more about that. You already knew that religion was violent because you were
Yeah.
the object of violence.
So I feel like that's more of a Western academia, where they're just like, oh wait, never mind, as opposed to.
Well, I wouldn't say never mind. I would say that, you know, academics began to wake up, that the kind of the romance of religion is over, and that Christianity isn't this parade of peace, but is really about violence in its own way. And so it's just been a hard time. Our consciousness was colonized by our own myth that we were bringing justice, peace, and harmony to this continent. I mean, that it's not as if the Jesuits or, well, I take that back. It's an interesting question. When you think, well, I know the Protestants. When the Protestants first came to this continent, when they were in contact with the indigenous folks, tribes and whatnot, it really was about force. There was never the sense that this wasn't about forcing natives to their religion. The Jesuits, I think, perhaps somewhat different. The Franciscans were fairly violent as well in the Southwest. So it's, yeah. But I think the Protestants believed fully that they were a ship of righteousness. And unless and until the tribes submitted, they would have to die. And so, yes, I think violence, you know, when you read that history, that's my conclusion at least.
Well,
Yeah.
especially considering there was like the doctrine of discovery,
Yeah.
or this God-given right to take over the land in the first place. So.
Right. And has everyone studied the doctrine of discovery? Is that something that people are aware of and that's very much with us now in the school? Yeah, raise your hand if that's true. Raise your hand if you know that doctrine. I mean, people are arguing for its overturn, right? Which would be a radical redistribution of power, wealth, and title to land, right? You with me? So when, you know, I've studied that enough to know that bit, but it's a radical turn in the potential of the social movements of our own country. So yeah, these are big issues. Yeah, it's good. All right, so religion was a way. Well, okay, so now after that discussion, let's come back to this idea. Is religion a action of